WTUG HD.
I've got about half of the Saban press conference clipped. I'm almost done with the rest.
Sounds good.
Alabama 1st and 10 on the 12. Again, Houston. He's got a hole. He's over. Alabama touchdown.
I'm just wondering if your listeners know how good a football player you were. I can still see you playing that fullback, knocking those players out of the way. And I believe I could have run behind you.
Martin, I can remember when we came to summer and you playing fullback up there. And I saw you in the weight room and watched you work out in the weight room. If you could pick up, you were strong enough to pick up the whole weight room. I wanted to see you, and I learned that thing back biggest mistake we ever made.
The Martin Houston Show with national championship winning fullback Houston, giving you 1 out of 10's hard-hitting analysis from an insider's perspective. It's time for the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
3, 2, 1.
Good morning. Welcome into the Martin Houston Show on Tide 100.9 on your radio dial. The Martin Houston Show live fan page on Facebook at Martin Houston 35 on Twitter, Martin Houston Live on YouTube. You can find us at all of those outlets and locations. You can also download the Tide 109 app and take us with you wherever you go. Remember that this is a day that the Lord has made, so let's rejoice and be glad in it. Take some time today to notice someone, love someone, serve someone, be the difference you want to see in the world today. Also want to invite you to join us on the phone lines, the traditional way, if you would like to call us at 205-342-9904, 205-342-9904. It's a Thursday edition of the Martin Houston Show, so we'll be having Hank South, 247 Sports, Bama Online recruiting guru, joining us in the second half to kick things off. So love to have you join us during that time as well. If you have any questions regarding recruiting and how Bama's doing and what's the impact of the loss of Moss and adding and hope with adding Pope back into the mix. Did Alabama fall? And how far did they fall from their prior ranking with Pope being a 3-star, which many expect to rise up the polls, not just because of signing with Bama, but because of the type player he is. Dad was a former All-American, or not a former, was an All-American at Clemson. So kind of interesting. We get Pope, whose dad played at Clemson, and of course they got Turner, whose dad played at Alabama. So we're just making a turnaround fair play in the DB world in terms of legacy players. We also can talk about upcoming scrimmage. We'll dig into that, of course, more on tomorrow and dig into things there. What unit is the best is the conversation that we tossed up for you to think about yesterday. And what unit on this Alabama team, man, we're really, really deep. Don't have as much experience in certain places, but may have more talent in those places. Is the hype around Bryce Young warranted or not? All of those things are there for us to discuss. Just a couple quick sidebar things. Love to get your thoughts and opinions on J.D. Davison trademarking his own logo. Like it or not? What's your thoughts there? So before we get further into the conversation, I want to remind you that this is the day that the Lord has made. So let's rejoice and be glad in it. Take some time today to notice someone, love someone, serve someone, be the difference you want to see in the world today. Go be world changer. Go be great. Joe, I saw where you had written about the J.D. Davison, so I get your thoughts on the J.D. Davison logo. Um, uh, Thoughts, like it, and okay, will become iconic.
I kind of like it. I mean, it's not. It's always hard to make a new logo because people aren't used to it. It doesn't have that. It doesn't have the recognition behind it. When Jumpman first came out, people may not have fallen in love with it. But over time and now, the logo is iconic. For JD, I think it was a nice logo. I think whoever put it together put some thought into it, put some work into it, capturing kind of him rising up for a big slam dunk. So hopefully he can make it iconic, and really that's going to be up to him on how he plays and how he handles himself on and off the court.
Yeah, I look at it, and of course, my first question is that a move he's famous for? You know what I mean? Like, like I see that, and I'm going, okay. It looks like he's getting ready to rise up off the ground with some type of maybe sideways dunk, and of course, the hair is already recognizable out from the logo, and so the question becomes he makes one or two dunks like that, Joe, where he makes that move. Because the Jordan thing, because everybody can see Jordan, making that particular dunk, so it could quickly become iconic. But once again, it shows that this name, image, and likeness uh, has so many avenues and different ways that guys are using it. Some are signing a lot of local deals, a la like a Pierce Quick, who has done really well on the local scene back home in Trustful, to guys like um, Bryce Young, who is signed with a big time agency, who is getting him big time deals, to this particular trademark your own logo, build your own brand, truly name, image, and likeness branding. And of course, it finally happened, Joe. I said it several weeks ago. I said it actually before uh, it even passed. But name, image, and likeness. The duh moment of this whole name, image, and likeness thing is Kool-Aid McKinstry. Oh yeah, signs with Kool-Aid. So is this like the biggest no-brainer of the entire name, image, and likeness campaign so far?
Oh yes, for sure. I got a big kick out of Martin. Was the company and Kool-Aid McKinstry basically swapped Twitter accounts yesterday. So if you went to Kool-Aid McKinstry's Twitter account, you got all kinds of updates and news about the drink. And if you went to the drink's Twitter account, you got all kinds of pictures and photos of Kool-Aid McKinstry. I thought that was
I
pretty cool.
I did not realize that is neat. That is really really cool, and that's I mean, like I said, this is probably, Joe, the biggest no brainer of them all. Um, and and I've said the same thing about if I was Hawaiian Punch. I would have signed to a Tagovailoa immediately, uh, or attempted to, and I feel the same way about this Kool Aid McKinstry. Um, I can't wait to see how they use this. I mean, this will be a fun one to watch. Now the question becomes, Joe, what high school kid right now in the ninth grade is working on um, his nickname? You know what I mean? Because Kool Aid McKinstry, when he got that nickname, had no idea that you know, at 18, 19 years old, he would be able to monetize that without making it to the league. And so, really, really neat story. Going to be fun to watch. Of course, I can remember as a kid, that was always one of the fun commercials. And I'm a nerd, so I recognize that. So I still watch commercials. I probably watch commercials as much as where everybody else DVRs and fast forwards through commercials. I'm the opposite. I watch commercials, so I can't wait to see how they take this brand. And
you got grandkids, correct?
yes, absolutely.
Okay, so you're gonna start calling what are you Google or
I have 3 grandchildren, and one of them I'm trying to figure out. You know, you don't want to call them something when they're little and then they end up being something different, Joe. But my oldest grandson was almost a foot taller than all the other kids on his baseball team this year. So he could be the Jolly Green Giant, right? Do what now?
That'd be a great brand.
Yeah, that's right. So it will be interesting to see. Then I have Deuce, my other grandson, and then I got Addison, and I think she's gonna probably be she has shown a liking for dance and ballet. So we'll have to figure that out. I'm gonna have to start working on that and seeing which companies out there represent the image and likeness, because that's the other part of this, Joe, that a lot of people hadn't thought about. The players have to be just as smart on who they link themselves with. You know, we talk about the whole name, image, and likeness, but it's a two-way street. You don't want, as a young player, you don't want to get yourself linked with a bad brand, and a great brand don't want to get linked with a young player that goes off the rails. So uh, I think it's going to help in a lot of ways with kids learning to make better decisions about associations and about relationships. And I think you're going to see guys who like Kool-Aid now is on the spot, right? I mean, what you just said to me was Kool-Aid, the brand, put pictures of him on their Instagram, right? So all of a sudden, all those people who were connected with Kool-Aid, the brand, now recognizes Kool-Aid, the football player, instantly, and so he'll be watched a little closer, a little tighter. So it probably may make him not that I don't know anything negative about the kid. He's all I've ever heard is good. So I'm not saying that he needed to correct his attitude, but now in the back of his mind, Joe, when he's out, there's money on the line if he goes out and does something wrong. So, it'll be interesting to see the impact it has on the game. But that, to me, like I said, that was one of the great and of course, what do you think, Eli? That's what we should have, Joe. We should have a contest on trying to get people to call up and give us their best Eli impression of when Kool-Aid McKinstry makes an interception. They have to say, "Oh yeah," right?
Sure, you got it right there. Eli's probably working that impression. Oh yeah,
Isn't it? Oh yeah, it's great. Is it? Oh yeah, it's great. It's just oh yeah. I know it's oh yeah. I think it's oh yeah, it's great or something like that. But anyway, Kool-Aid McKinstry, congratulations to him. Also, congratulations to JD Davison on their logo. We'll go to break here if anyone wants to comment. If anybody wants to call up and give us your version of if you were announcing the game and Kool-Aid McKinstry gets his first pick, just like I forgot to give him a shout out, just like your man in the pros, Patrick Surtain, he got his first interception with a pick six, Joe. I mean, could you imagine Kool-Aid making that play? It has to be, oh yeah, it's great, or something along those lines. You want to call in and give us that version of what you think Eli would say? Phone lines open, 205-342-9904. The Taco Casa hotline open for business. Taco Casa, quality, taste, value on the biggest cactus in town. Coming back on the other side, we can continue this conversation. We can talk about what units are the best, how good is this wide receiver room. Anything you want to bring up is welcome to the table right here on the Martin Houston Show.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, no active wrecks or traffic fairly light.
$9 per month at your John Deere dealer today. For additional cost information, please call toll-free 855-633-2315.
Hurry to JCPenney and score 3 days of big savings for back to school. Shop hundreds of doorbusters all day, Friday to Sunday, while they last, and stock up on active gear like 50% off select exertion tees, tanks, and capris for women. Plus, get fast savings on Fila athletic shoes for the family, starting at $24.99. Or use your coupon and get an extra 30% off at checkout. Weekdays are back in style. JCPenney. Doorbusters valid 8/20 to 8/22. Excluded from coupon. Coupon valid through 8/22. Some exclusions apply. See store or jcp.com for details. Recently, Total Wireless helped Garrett Dvorak throw a virtual baby shower for his wife, Ellie.
Just to see everyone's expression, I don't have words for it.
Because when you move to Total Wireless, you can get amazing devices on 5G. And with unlimited plans starting at $25 a month per line for 4 lines, you could save up to $80 per month.
Total Wireless, you guys pulled through.
Total Wireless. Do amazing. 5G capable device and SIM required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary. Savings claim made when compared to 4-line postpaid plans of the leading carrier for 2021. See terms and conditions at totalwireless.com.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Sky cloudy at times. A few passing showers and thunderstorms are likely today and tonight. The high today 86, tonight's low 71. Tomorrow a mix of sun and clouds with scattered to numerous showers and thunderstorms during the day. The high 87. I'm James Spann of the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 78 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Scott Smith and Sophomart Design, doing business for 17 plus years, specializing in graphic design services. (924-680) or email scottis@comcast.net and visit them online at sophmartdesign.com.
Interact with the Martin Houston Show by calling us at 205-342-9904 or tuning into the Martin Houston Show on Facebook.
Yeah, well, I think, one of the big issues, last year on our team being fairly young, was we made a lot of mental errors, especially in the first half of the season. And I think that was knowledge and experience. So I think when you have more experienced players, I think hopefully you cut down on, those mental errors that actually, help people make plays against us. And so I think that's the key to the drill. And, we still have to have good players at every position, and there's still a lot of competition at every position. And, so we're trying to get more and more guys to get to where they have the confidence, the knowledge, and experience to be able to execute on a consistent basis.
That's Coach Nick Saban responding to a question about how does experience help in situational defense, a la third down, red zone, etc. And Joe, if you heard yesterday's conversation about how could you justify Pete Golden potentially being a number one defensive coordinator? One of our big conversations was about performance on third down, and Nick Saban in that thing was telling you what was happening a lot last year was mental mistakes, mental errors. So the question becomes, were those mental errors on the coach and coaching, or on the players, or on the fact of not getting the necessary reps to get us there? And if that's the case, then he seems to already say that, from that audio, I hear him saying this defense is going to be better. Just forget the physicality, forget the talent, forget the depth, forget play calling, scheming, all that. Just on the mental side of the game, this team's going to be better, and that's anyone that's played the game knows how different it is if you know what you're doing. It's the difference between being able to get through the hole if you're a running back. It's the difference between being hit on the hip and being missed. It's the difference between a fingertip catch and the ball hitting you right. I mean, a fingertip pass and the ball hitting you right in your hands if you're hesitant off the ball. On the defensive side of the ball, it's the difference between getting hooked on a block, getting pinned on a block. It's the difference between reading, just running up the field and thinking you're wide open. It's the difference between falling back into the zone and knocking a ball down. You see what I'm saying, Joe? It's that one moment of hesitation when you're not sure impacts the game in such a way. And he didn't even say that they were hesitant in making plays. He said they were making mistakes, which is even a greater thing, meaning guys were in the wrong gap, and and if they were hitting it right, it was giving up bigger plays and things like that. So exciting news from that standpoint. He appeared to be saying that this defense is ready in that capacity. So that only means good things for Alabama. Of course, the biggest conversation we've had, Joe, all off season, probably as far as from a defensive side of the ball, who's going to be the guy and who's going to be the man and all of that. And of course, we're talking about the cornerback position, replacing Patrick Surtain. Nick Saban talked about having to evaluate that position. Let's listen to what he had to say about evaluating that position, and then let's come back and talk a little bit about based on that, does Kool-Aid McKinstry, Terrion Arnold, Jalen Armour Davis, which one of those guys, or maybe even Brian Branch, a guy who was a safety last year, does he even work himself into conversation into those cornerback reps?
Well, I think there's three things that are important when you play defensive back. Number one, you got to be able to tackle. Number two, you got to be able to play the deep part of the field. Number three, you got to be able to play man-to-man. Those are the three critical factors for a DB at any position. You can't get off the field on third down if you can't deny the ball, which means you got to play man-to-man at some point in time. You give up big plays if you can't judge the ball in the deep part of the field, and you're the last line of defense. So if you can't tackle, they're going to make big plays as well. So those are the critical factors that we look at for DBs, and so that's what we look at for in recruiting, and that's what we kind of try to develop on the field with our players in the drill work that we do.
All right, so the ability to tackle, play the deep ball, play man-to-man. Everything we've heard coming out, I don't think we've heard anything when you take, would you say the top three candidates you've heard so far, Joe, just from conversation, would be Jalen Armour Davis, Kool-Aid McKinstry, and after the scrimmage, Terrion Arnold.
For the second place, because
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, not Josh. Josh Jobe seems to have his side locked down.
Yes, all right. I just wanted to make sure I was following you. Yes, for the second spot, yes, Jalen Armour Davis, Kool-Aid McKinstry, and really Terry Arnold in the last week or so.
Yeah.
Look some love, and so between those three, I think we're gonna find a corner.
Yeah, and so when you look at those three guys, from what we've heard and either seen from high school experience, etc., which one of those guys do you think may have the best shot from a man-to-man standpoint? We've heard both of these. I mean, we've heard nothing but him talk about all three of these guys. I think have been credited with having good feet, which is part of being able to play man-to-man, explosiveness, and the ability to play in space, and that's something I think that Arnold showed, and I think Kool-Aid and Arnold kind of, Joe. This is where basketball creeps into the football game. I think that those guys and their basketball skill set actually may help them in some ways be a better corner, because they're on defense. They're used to have to shuffle their feet, change direction, run through picks, run through all those things, and that's one of the ways you get guys open in defense. If you're playing defense, is rub plays, rub routes, a lot of what they call mesh routes, crossing patterns, where players have to run and make their way through traffic. So it's going to be interesting to see those two guys, having played a lot of basketball, seems to be a positive there. And then just their ability to play the ball. I think we've heard on all three of them that there is, without a doubt, deep ball skills and the ability to go up and track the ball. And I think Jalen Armour Davis, from his experience and what we've seen from him, what little bit we saw early before he got hurt, what we saw in the spring, he showed the ability to do that. But I think Kool-Aid McKinstry may have an advantage because of his offensive play. And Arnold would have some of that same thing, as he has switched positions as well and been more of an athlete. So deep ball, maybe the young guys may even have an advantage or a slight advantage there. And so to me, it's going to come down to tackling. Joe, which one of these guys ends up being the guy? And Davis has better. From what I've heard, he was not as physical a guy, just naturally. Surprisingly, coming out of spring and then continuing into the fall, Kool-Aid McKinstry is known as being very physical, and even Pete Golding said he sticks his head up in there. And when you do that, it just gives you, when a guy can play man-to-man on an island, when he can track the deep ball, Joe, but he also can be in the game and run support, that's All-American caliber defense. And I'm not saying Kool-Aid McKinstry is an All-American, but I'm saying that tackling may be what separates him from the others. Don't know enough about Arnold yet, if he's going to be as physical when it comes to the tackling. So right now, I think it's Jalen Armour Davis's job to lose, but will not be surprised. And that would be one of the things I'd be watching in the scrimmage to see which one of those guys see the difference. Joe, any thought we get to break?
You're spot on. I think Jalen Armour Davis has a leg up on everybody at the moment, but only by experience. I think that Coach Saban wants to see more from Quincy McKinstry and Terry Arnold, and if he can get to a place where he trusts those two guys, unfortunately for Jalen Armour Davis, I think they might have a leg up in the athleticism department.
Yeah, and that's what we have to watch and see. I don't Man, we don't get to see very much of these guys, and so with the big scrimmage, there'll be a little bit more to be seen. But Saban has told you what he's watching for. So if you're out at practice or you get to see film, watch how they play man to man, watch how they play the deep ball, and most importantly, watch how they tackle. Ultimately, in both one-on-one play as well in run support, because I believe that is what's going to separate the guy who takes that job. Of course, we'll follow up more with even the Brian Branch experience and see if he may even work himself into some reps in some formations. But one of those guys, I promise you, will be, I believe, in that rotation of DBs 5-6 deep, the Kool-Aid McKinstry and maybe both of them, Terrion Arnold. Coming back on the other side, it's more recruiting news. We're going to be catching up with Hank South, 247 Sports Bama Online recruiting guru, up next.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, we got a wreck on 2059 westbound just past exit 100, Alabama 216 in Lakeview with minor delays. Everything else looks good, but if you do see conditions, of course, give us a call. Townsend Nissan is taking care of business with finance rates as low as 0% and rebates up to $5,000. I'm Captain Ray.
Hello, this is Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show, and I want to tell you about one of our great sponsors, Overflow Express Wash. Their mission is to provide great customer service with a showroom clean car and an exceptional customer service experience. They have the basic car wash that starts at $7, but you need to check out the premium wash packages, which start as low as $12 and go up to $20. They also have a membership wash club that you can get for starting at $23.99, going up to $39.99. In other words, just double the regular premium package, drop a penny, and you can be one of the great members of Overflow Express Wash. My family and I keep our cars looking good inside and out by using Overflow Express Wash. They're located on Skyland Boulevard right next door to Alabama 1, or you can find them online at overflowexpresswash.com. Andy Phillips and his team look forward to making you a part of their team.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. Dashboard light problems? We can help. Our free fix finder service can read your check engine light, ABS light, and service indicator light, and give you possible solutions, verified by licensed technicians. You'll even get detailed results sent straight to your email so you have them when you need it most. It's the most complete free warning light report backed by technician verified fixes. The free fix finder service, only at AutoZone.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
More details at AutoZone.com.
Nick Saban calls it the process. John Maxwell said that everything rises and falls on it. Coach Wooden said it's what you learn after you think you know it all that makes the difference. What am I talking about? Leadership and personal development. Is your organization, your school, your church, your family, are they receiving the proper level of leadership development and personal development? If not, the Empowerment Center for Leadership and Mentoring can help you with that. We have our pep talks, which is a 1 to 1.5 hour lunch and learn, which we can customize to meet your needs, or we have some topics that we present that we know can help your organization. And if you're looking for one-on-one mentoring and coaching, can also assist you with that. Visit peptalks35.com. That's peptalks35.com, or send an email to martin@martinhouston.org. That's the Empowerment Center for Leadership and Mentoring.
Welcome back to the Martin Houston Show. The sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team, on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show. It's a Thursday morning, kicking off the second half, and that means it's time to bring in the recruiting guru, Hank South, 247 Sports Bama Online Recruiting. Good morning, Hank. How you doing, sir?
Hey, good morning, Martin. I'm good. How are you?
Doing well, doing well. Hope you enjoyed some time away with fam and friends and all that good stuff, but definitely missed you last week and glad to have you back. Little news breaking since you've been gone, so I'll get you to update us on the latest happening around Bama football.
Yeah, we saw a couple happenings in the last, I guess the last week. Starting last Thursday, Le'Veon Moss, the four-star running back, decommitted from Alabama. I guess you could say it wasn't a huge shock. He committed to Bama at the beginning of June after his official visit. He immediately went on two other official visits, TCU and Texas A&M. I think he visited Ole Miss and maybe some other places as well throughout the month of June. And then at the end of July, he visited Texas A&M instead of Alabama for the Champions Cookout. So I guess the writing was sort of on the wall there for him to potentially look elsewhere. And he decommitted from Alabama. Took Bama down to 13 commitments. Didn't last long. Then we saw on Monday Jake Pope, the four-star defensive back from Georgia, he committed to Alabama over Georgia, North Carolina, Ohio State, Notre Dame. So big addition there from the Peach State, taking Bama back to 14 commitments. Still the number one class in the SEC, number 4 overall in the nation. And so gets Bama a little bit of momentum heading into the season here in a couple weeks.
All right, let's circle back on both of those commitments you just referenced. First of all, Le'Veon Moss, is that a dead in the water decommitment, or is it just that Alabama, if they decide they still want him, one that they are still in the mix for, he just opened his recruitment back up, or has he really made it known that he sounds like A&M may be the home landing place for him?
Yeah, we'll see. I think Bama's still going to recruit him. I think it's one of those recruitments where he took his first visit after that year and a half long dead period.
Yeah.
Got excited. Can't blame him. Committed to Bama on that first official visit. But someone that wanted to keep enjoying the recruiting process. So he decommitted. Bama's still going to push for him. I still think Bama's one of his top schools. We've seen it before where guys have decommitted at the running back position in particular. Trey Sanders, the guy that decommitted. Obviously, there's not as much time remaining as there was with Trey Sanders, but I think he'll certainly still listen to Alabama. It's just a matter of can they get him back on campus for for an unofficial visit this fall. So we'll see. But yeah, I would agree. I think Texas A&M, even LSU, he's from Baton Rouge. They're going to still recruit him as well. So it'll be an interesting one to watch here the next few months.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to watch, and you have to, I think, watch how the young backs are used at Bama and how this coordinator. Because if I was recruiting against Alabama with Le'Veon Moss, I would be going, they got too many horses. They're not going to play guys, and then all of a sudden you come out and they do a running back by committee type of scenario. And every guy will be 1 year older. Now all of a sudden it's not as daunting a process as it looks right now. Because if I was looking, I'd be like, wow, they got a lot of backs. But so we'll keep our eyes on that and see what's happening with him. And then Jake Pope, defensive back out of Beaufort in Georgia. Of course, I was talking to a Georgia fan, and I was like, "How y'all let us get another guy?" And he said something happened between Martrick and Beaufort High School that no kid from Beaufort comes to Alabama. And I think this may be Alabama's third commitment from Beaufort in the last few years.
Yeah, I need to dig into that a little bit. I haven't heard the Martrick thing. But yeah, big commitment. Yes, we saw Seth McLaughlin a few years ago commit to Alabama from Beaufort. Now Jake Pope. Interesting recruitment. He was a kid that Bama offered back in January. He actually took his own little visit to Tuscaloosa in February. I think he had a baseball tournament nearby or something, but shut down campus for himself. Had the offer already, obviously, and then he came back for an official visit in June. And up till June, a lot of people thought, Notre Dame, North Carolina, those are going to be the likely two landing spots. And he took that official to Tuscaloosa, and things kind of shifted. He started trending towards Bama more, and then obviously we saw him commit earlier this week. But Really, a big commitment. He's a really interesting prospect. All those offers he had too. Georgia, Ohio State. I mean, all these schools were pushing for him. You look at his ranking, and maybe a little confused by that. But 24/7 Sports actually does have him as a 4-star recruit. So we'll see if he continues to climb, and obviously plays very tough competition where he's at. But a two-way player, a guy that plays offense and defense. Obviously, projects on the defensive side of the ball. I know at his commitment ceremony, he said there might be some offensive packages for him. So we'll see how they end up using him at the next level. But a big pickup out of the state of Georgia.
Yeah, when you look at him, I mentioned earlier his dad played at Clemson, and he came to Alabama, and of course, Clemson just had Turner. Kevin Turner's son graduate and from Clemson, and of course Kevin playing at Alabama. So, but it didn't seem like Clemson was that much into as far as the race for him. So I thought that was a very interesting scenario there. What's or who I should say? Because I've seen a couple guys starting to make some date announcements, but not necessarily commitments. What or who is next for Bama? Do you feel?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see because a lot of guys do like to make decisions before their senior years. So sometimes they just decide to commit. I think it was around this time last year, Jalen Milroe flipped from Texas to Alabama. Some guys that have talked about decisions nearing. We're going to see Amari Kelly announced today. He has a decision date set. It's not, I don't think it's going to be Alabama. I think he's going to commit to Auburn. We kind of saw Bama pull back on the reins a little bit, or let up on the reins a little bit, recruiting Amari Kelly in the last month or so. So that's one. But as far as guys, I think in the class, Barry Brown, the 4-star receiver from Tennessee, he's a guy that said he wants to make a decision in August. He's kind of gone silent since saying that. He hasn't listed a date or anything, but he got a few more days left of August, so he's a guy we're keeping an eye on. A Bama TCU race for him. Justice Finkley, the 4-star defensive lineman from Hewitt-Trussville, he's another one that says he's going to make a decision soon. Down to Bama, Texas, and Colorado. So he's one we're watching. And then we saw someone set a decision date this week. Jaleel Skinner, the 4-star tight end from South Carolina, but transferred to IMG Academy. He's going to announce his decision on October 9th. So that's Bama, FSU, Clemson. We'll see who else is in the end for him. So those are 3 guys we're keeping an eye on. And then of course, you always kind of have to keep your eyes open for just guys that spontaneously pop before their senior year.
Yeah, and when you look, when you look at Skinner, isn't he the number 1 tight end right now in the country?
Yeah, he's rated number 1 in the 24/7 composite.
Yeah. Okay. And Bama, you always have to ask the question because we make everybody's top 5. But is this a legit shot with Alabama considering the commitments we've had, and if a guy like him commits, is Alabama, would one of those other guys be encouraged to look elsewhere?
Despite the 2 commitments they have, you look at Elijah Brown, who's obviously he's a tight end, then Amari Niblack, who could project as a tight end, but also maybe the defensive side of the ball player or defensive player, or we'll see. So that hasn't detracted on Bama's chances. I think. I believe FSU feels good about their chances with where things stand, and I think he grew up an FSU fan or something like that. But he's going to take an official visit to Tallahassee on September 5th. So they're feeling pretty good. Clemson feels good. Obviously, he's got the South Carolina ties. He's from the state. But I think Bama's very much in it. I think they've pitched to him. Use him in the same role as Jaleel Billingsley, how he's kind of emerged in the last season, end of 2019, and obviously all of 2020. He's kind of been able to showcase his talents. He took that official visit in June. I think the staff really impressed him. He seemed really blown away by that. So Bama's very much in it for him.
do you think the impact of stuff? We're talking Terry and Arnold, and we're talking Julian McKinstry earlier. What do you think the impact of seeing guys on the field early for Alabama? Most of the recruiting when people negatively
recruits living room, and that they're constantly hearing from other schools, you're not good enough to play, or not, you're not good enough, but you're not going to see the field early. Look at all the guys they have ahead of you on the depth chart, but then year in and year out, especially the last few years, we've seen true freshmen contribute. Especially you look back at the 2018 national championship game when Tua stepped in, handing the ball to Najee, Henry Ruggs catching a touchdown, Devontae Smith catching the game-winning touchdown. So I mean, it's huge for recruiting to be able to tell guys that might be a little bit of that might be a little hesitant to really consider Bama. But again, Bama recruits guys that aren't really afraid of competition either. So that's another thing. So it's definitely a big plus on the recruiting trail.
And Hank, of course, playing early, playing often, but also the need to play multiple guys. Depth is also a huge recruitment. And I wondered earlier from our conversation, circling back on that from Le'Veon Moss, was that part of what played into his conversation? Was the excitement, et cetera? But you had an article a couple of days ago about running back targets. Who are some of the guys that Bama's going to go after now? Are they okay with the running back room and the depth they have? Do you see them possibly moving on from running backs?
No, yeah, I think they'll still recruit another running back in the class. Emmanuel Henderson obviously is rated a running back, but a guy that's kind of more of an athlete. So I think they want to add another in the 2022 class. But one guy that's going to be interesting to watch. A lot of their targets that they've gone after have actually since committed. We saw Branson Robinson. He was a guy that had Bama in his top 2. He committed to Georgia in July. Nicholas Singleton, another guy that had it on an official visit, he committed to Penn State in July. So guys made decisions. Doesn't mean their recruitments are over, but that's just another hurdle you got to clear when you're recruiting a committed kid. But one guy that's uncommitted that Bama had on campus in June, he's going to return in the fall for another visit, is Javonte Barnes. He's 4-star running back from Desert Pines High School in Las Vegas. We saw Bama recruit Desert Pines a couple of years ago, Darnell Washington. The tight end that ended up at Georgia. But a guy that, they seem to be, heavily in the mix for at this point, especially, he took an unofficial, he's going to come back for an official. I think he's the one running back target to watch. As far as uncommitted guys, and you got Le'Veon Moss and, a few others, but I think Javonte Barnes is the name for Bama fans to circle at this point in time for where, Bama really turns to at the running back position.
All right, that's Hank South 247 Sports, Bama Online Recruiting. Hank, quick flip over to basketball. Noah Clowney has Bama in his Final Four: Indiana, Virginia Tech, Florida, and Alabama. Tell us a little bit about Noah Clowney and where Alabama sits with him.
Yeah, I think it was a little bit of a surprise that Bama made a top 4. I haven't heard too much about him. I saw the news broke yesterday when he put it out. 4-star power forward from South Carolina. We've seen Bama recruit South Carolina in the past on the basketball court. We saw Jawan Gary sign last year, and I think there's one other. I'm probably forgetting their name, but or signed a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, kind of list cutting season time. I think we're really gonna start to see guys narrow down on their list. Around this time, I guess it was later September, around this time last year was when we saw Bama's 2021 class really start to kind of pick up, with Sean Holt and J.D. Davison and those guys jump on board. But nobody committed yet, but I think guys are really starting to work towards that decision ahead of that November signing period.
All right. Give us any closing thoughts on football or basketball and Bama recruiting, and tell our listeners and viewers where they can find more information about you, Hank.
Yeah, currently still in a dead period for football. So there's just fall camp kind of coverage right now. But come September, things open back up. Coaches can get back out on the road, evaluate the kids on Friday night. Then obviously host visitors over the weekend. We're going to see kids in Atlanta for the Alabama-Miami game in a few weeks. So that's going to be something we're tracking, and then on-campus visits again. So about to kind of ramp back up. Cover it all on BamaOnline.com. You can get your first for $1 if you try it out. So good time to sign up.
All right, that's Hank South, 247 Sports, Bama Online recruiting guru. Good follow at Hank South 247. Thanks, Hank. We'll catch up with you next week.
Sure thing. Thanks, Martin.
Thanks. Coming back on the other side, we'll give a quick rundown of West Alabama high school football taking part tonight all across West Alabama. That up next on the Martin Houston Show.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, no active wrecks, but steady traffic on McFarland eastbound headed into Northport, then down to the river. Fairly steady in the downtown southbound. If you see other conditions, just give us a call. Townsend Nissan is taking care of business. Finance rates as low as 0% for 60 months. And they rebates up to $5,000. Go see them on Captain Ray.
Good morning. Alabama is nowhere close to seeing the end of this new surge of COVID-19 and Delta variant cases. Health officials warn it could get worse. The state has added almost 20,000 new cases over the last week. Many are younger patients now that school has started. In sports, public high school football season kicks off tonight with some big area rivalry games. Hollis at Central, Northside at Berry, and Fayette County will be hosting Winfield. The rest of the teams kick off tomorrow night. Don Hartley, Town Square Media, Tuscaloosa.
Hello, this is Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show, and I want to tell you about Tuscaloosa Custom Carving. If you're looking for a way to add value to your home, make your flower beds pop, make your landscaping stand out from your neighbors, then Tuscaloosa Custom Carving can help you do just that. They have numerous styles, but they feature the Moroccan Stone Curve series, which includes 4 great styles and unlimited color choices. That's Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing. They are the one that can help you stand out from your neighbors. Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing, 205-331-6823. You may also find yourself with the need for a custom size stone or custom shaped stone. Then Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing can help with that as well. Paul Fuller and his team are waiting on your call right now for that free quote. And if you tell them that Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show told you to stop by, you'll get a big discount. So call Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing at 205-331-6823 or visit them online at Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing, LLC.
Brought to you by John Deere. Nothing runs like a deer. Visit www.deere.com.
Don't miss a play at the Sportsbook at Pearl River Resort. Your front row seat to all the action. Place bets on all professional and most college sports at the counter, kiosk, or on your phone. Then catch the game on one of our 20 big screens from the comfort of the newly remodeled Timeout Lounge. Plus, the PRR Sports app gives you access to live, in-play sports betting. Sportsbook at Pearl River Resort. Be more than a fan. Be a player. Must be 21.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. Dashboard light problems can help. Our free fix finder service can read your check engine light, ABS light, and service indicator light, and give you possible solutions. They're licensed technicians. You'll even get detailed results sent straight to your email so you have them when you need it most. It's the most complete free warning light report backed by technician verified fixes. The free fix finder service, only at AutoZone.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
More details at AutoZone.com.
The sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team. The Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show, and time for a little high school love right here on the Martin Houston Show as we look at West Alabama high schools. Of course, I get the distinct privilege of being able to work with the young men over at Northridge High School, specifically the running backs. And of course, we play on tomorrow. But tonight, several big matchups as Hillcrest Patriots kick off a new era in their football world as they will play host to the Homewood Patriots. I like it. The Battle of the Patriots last year, Hillcrest 49-19. Ethan Crawford, young man. I'm hoping that this young man Joe gets some of the love he deserves. I think he's a big time quarterback. I don't think he's getting the press and the love that he gets. I meant to ask Hank about him today and just slipped my mind, but I'll make sure I follow up with that. But Hillcrest expected to win that and make another nice run. Totally different philosophy and with the new head coach there. So we'll be interested to watch that and give you an update on how the Patriots start in their new era. Speaking of a new era, Tuscaloosa County Wildcats taking on Bryant High School. Their new coach, new turf field, new locker room, new attitude, all that you want in Tuscaloosa County High Wildcats with Adam Weingartner and, of course, Antonio Ford, native Tuscaloosa, also a defensive coordinator there. So see if they can get off to the right track as they take on one of Northridge's region foes, Bryant High School. American Christian taking on the Parker Thundering Herd. American Christian has a new coach at the helm with the sudden resignation of Smelly. So it'll be interesting to see how they do things in Central Falcons taking on the Holt Ironmen in year 2 of Coach Rodney Bivens, trying to come off a disappointing 3-7 season. And last but not least, the Berry Fayette Wildcats visiting Northside Rams as they renew a 50-year plus game series. Last year, this should be the second of that. So we'll watch all of those. We'll report on all of those schools on tomorrow, give you an update. We'll have Deal No Deal. We'll talk about the scrimmage, what you're looking for, who's going to be the breakout players, who's going to step up on the depth chart. I'm Martin Houston. That's Joe Gaither behind the glass. Thanks to Hank South. Thanks to all of the callers, chatters, listeners, viewers, and all of you who are part of the Martin Houston Show fam. We'll catch you on tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel right here on Tide 100.9. Roll Tide. And remember this, trust in the Lord always. Lean not your own understanding. All your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your paths. Roll Tide and have a blessed day.
Thank you for listening to the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on
You too, Roll Tide.
the app.